So what is a title search? Either the title company or the attorney is gonna do a public record search of the property to ensure that your name is on the title and that you can legally transfer it when you sell the property, because it has to be in your name or you don't have the legal rights to sell it in the first place. They're gonna do a few things. They're gonna look for claims, defects, rights, and burdens on the property itself to ensure that you can transfer that. So hey, worst thing that can happen is that you know this information and you don't tell me. What we need to do from the beginning is to make sure that that house is in your name, because there's no getting around it. Because when you put your house up for sale, we find a buyer, they go under contract, they put earnest money down, they pay money out of pocket for the inspection, the appraisal goes through, again, they have to pay for the appraisal, and then we get the information back saying that your name isn't on the title. It can be a huge roadblock. Now, we can get that figured out through the attorneys, but understand this, it's gonna put a burden on the time frame itself, and it's gonna get pushed back. It could get pushed back 10 days, 30 days, 60 days. It's a case-by-case situation that we're going to run into, but if we can get this taken care of before we list the house on the market, it's gonna keep the buyer happy, it's gonna be a smooth process, and you're gonna get your check on time once we sell the property. Something else to be aware of is what's called the chain of title. Who owned the property before you, and when you bought the property, was it a smooth transition, and do you have the title in hand, or does the mortgage company still have ownership over that? Because let's say you bought it for sale by owner, and you screwed up some of the paperwork, and the title wasn't transferred properly, we could run into some serious issues. So we need to sit down, figure that out, get the attorney involved, and figure out who owns the property, and to make sure that you have the legal rights to sell it. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you get top dollar for the property in the shortest amount of time possible. And if we can just knock this out right from the beginning, it's going to be a super smooth process. But again, if you're not confident, that's just a conversation that we need to have. And if you're on YouTube right now watching this and I'm not your realtor, reach out to your real estate agent, ask for their advice on what we need to do from the very beginning to ensure that you have legal means to sell the property right from the beginning. Because hey, like I was saying, if you sold for sale by owner, you bought one from a for sale by owner beforehand and the paperwork was screwed up just even a little bit, and you didn't get some signatures and it was filed correctly with the county, you could run into some major issues. And I want to make sure that we don't lose an offer that's on the table and that they get their earnest money back and we're back to square one and we have less buyers because the house has been on the market for longer. So let's just get this taken care of right from the beginning. So let's talk about outstanding claims and liens here for a second. Say you have a mortgage, or say you're backed up on tax payments or even payments in general when it comes to your mortgage. I know a lot of individuals stopped paying on their mortgage during the pandemic because the government came out and said something about not having to pay for mortgages, right? Your payments every month. If you are backed up on payments, that is a conversation we have to have with one another, because that is going to change the way that a house is bought. Because you can't sell your house if it's backed up on taxes. You can't sell your house if it's backed up on payments, because either you yourself are going to have to pay for that, or the buyer is going to have to pay for it up front, because that money has to be paid before the house is sold. Title insurance, very, very important. This is gonna be on the buyer side, and the buyer is gonna be the one that pays for this. But I want you to understand what title insurance is. When you buy a house, what that means is after the title company or the attorney does the title search, and if anything was messed up, that title insurance is going to make sure that you are safe and make sure that the buyer is safe as well. Because if they pay for the title search to be able to get that title in their name to purchase the house, and something was messed up, let's say a year, 2 years, or even 5 years later when they go to sell that property, an issue comes up, they are gonna have the means to be able to get that fixed without having to come out of pocket a bunch of money, and it's gonna protect them from the beginning. So when it's on the buyer side, it's very important for them to get titles insurance no matter what, under any circumstance. Although, I'll be honest with you, it's about $1,000 depending on the type of house that you're gonna buy. It's usually based off a percentage, but just going with local trends of how much homes are selling currently in the market, you can look at about $1,000. It is an expense that buyers can get out of, but I always recommend it because it keeps people safe and it's gonna keep you safe as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. And to wrap things up, just so you understand, it is very important to have a title search done on your property to ensure that it's a smooth transaction. I already told you what can happen if it doesn't go through and it's not smooth from the very beginning. So if we want to get this done before we even list the house, we can. Although if you're confident the house is in your name, you can pretty much just kind of skip over this video. Although you've already watched it, if you're at this point, thank you so much for staying till the end. Make sure you like, subscribe. And now you know a little bit more about the housing market, right? You know about title search. I'll catch you on the next one.